There is something almost strangely perfect about the idea of a Teenage Mutant game stepping into a world built with the weight, the intensity, the cinematic ambition of the modern God of War formula. Because on paper, it sounds almost too bold, but when you really sit with it, when you strip away nostalgia and lean into what today's AAA development can achieve, it really starts to feel less like a rumor, more like an inevitability. So far, the reports and industry whispers point toward a darker, high-budget Teenage Mutant project currently in development, and one that supposedly leans heavily into character-driven storytelling, tight over-the-shoulder combat, more grounded presentation, etc. And if that direction holds true, what we might be looking at is not just another adaptation, not another co-op arcade throwback, but a complete redefinition of what a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game can really be. In fact, what makes the comparison to God of War so compelling isn't just the camera angle or the cinematic flair, it's the structure. The 2018 reinvention proved that a long-running franchise could shed its old skin and emerge more mature without losing its identity. That same philosophy applied to TMNT could result in something extraordinary. Imagine a semi-open world New York City that feels layered rather than sprawling. Not a massive map dotted with icons, but a dense, vertical urban environment. Rooftops that serve as traversal highways. Underground subway systems repurposed into combat arenas. Abandoned warehouses that hide cold activity. And storm drains that feel less like corridors and more like arteries pumping secrets through the city. Instead of a butt-mashing brawler, the combat would be deliberate, weighty, tactical. Every swing of a weapon would carry impact. Enemies wouldn't just rush in waves, they would flank, retreat, call for backup, and adapt. The Arkham series proved how satisfying free-flow combat could be. God of War proved how intimate and brutal close-quarter fighting could feel. A TMNT project blending those philosophies could create a system where positioning matters as much as reflexes. Right now, the speculation around the project suggests a single-player focus, at least narratively. And that doesn't necessarily eliminate co-op, but it implies a curated experience. One possibility that actually keeps resurfacing is insider discussions and a dynamic character switching system, woven into both combat and exploration, where rather than controlling 4 separate characters at once in fights, you might fluidly shift between them mid-fight, chaining abilities and adapting to different enemy types. Picture this: you begin an encounter in the shadow, using stealth mechanics to thin the herd. Then, as things escalate, you swap into a more aggressive stance, breaking shields, countering heavy, juggling airborne targets, not as 4 separate health bars dottering the screen, but as one unified squad operating as a single cohesive force. The camera remains tight, intimate, cinematic. Every dodge feels earned, every parry sparks. A modern AAA TMNT game cannot ignore mobility. Grappling lines across skyscrapers, wall running through alleyways, sliding down fire escapes, seamless transitions from rooftops to sewer tunnels without loading screens. In fact, if built in a modern engine like the Unreal Engine 5, the city could feel alive in ways past games never even dreamed of. What makes this rumored direction specifically exciting is the tonal shift. It's not grim-dark for the sake of it, but serious enough to treat the world with respect. The Turtles have always existed at the edge of crime fiction and science fiction. Leaning into that urban grit could create something that feels closer to a grounded vigilance epic than a Saturday morning cartoon. The God of War inspiration also implies a stronger emphasis on environmental storytelling. Subtle details and graffiti hinting at larger conspiracies. New broadcasts playing in the background about corporate corruption, hidden rooms revealing failed experiments, the city itself becoming a character, layered with history and consequence. And then we have the structure of progression. See, a skill tree system that encourages specialization rather than generic upgrades. Instead of simply increasing damage numbers, abilities might unlock new tactical approaches, counter systems that evolve, environmental takedowns that expand, traversal mechanics that open previously unreachable areas. the world gradually unfolding as your capabilities grow. Boss battles could be the true showcase, not oversized bullet sponges, but choreographed cinematic encounters. If all that's done correctly, these we think could rival the scale and intensify of modern action games. There's also a speculation that the project might lean into a more contained narrative scope, where the focus might remain in New York. That elimination could actually be its strength. A deeply realized city offers more emotional grounding than a world tour. You begin to recognize neighborhoods. You understand which gangs control which district. You feel the consequences of your actions. More to the point. The rumored development also arrives at a time when a superhero fatigue is becoming a real conversation. That is precisely why a grounded, mechanically rich TMNT game could stand out. It wouldn't rely on flashy superpowers or skybeam finales. It will focus on a street-level conflict, organized crime, ancient martial traditions colliding with modern corruption. The scale remains human, even if the heroes are not. There is definitely something powerful about Train. The God of War reboot thrived on it. Technologically, this rumored project could benefit from modern hardware in ways past TMNT titles never could. Real-time decision systems allowing environments to crumble during fights. Ray trace lighting, haptic feedback that makes each weapon feel distinct. Maybe the most exciting speculations revolves around identity. Because for decades, TMNT games have neither leaned fully arcade or fully experimental. Rarely have they embraced prestige. A God of War-inspired approach signals confidence. It suggests a belief that the franchise deserves the same narrative and mechanical ambition as the biggest names in gaming. So, if this project truly exists in the form insiders describe, it could redefine what people expect from licensed games. It could become the benchmark for how to handle legacy franchises in the AAA space, not just by copying trends, but by adapting proven structures to a unique identity. I think at the end of the day, rumors are just that, rumors. But sometimes rumors just align too particularly with market trends, technological capabilities, and franchise potential to ignore. If it happens, if that first gameplay reveal opens with rain-soaked rooftops and a tight over-the-shoulder camera, if we see deliberate combat in a city, alive with consequences, it'll mark a turning point. Not just for TMNT gamers, but for how we think about adaptation in this industry. Because the streets of New York have always belonged to them. The only question is whether this time the streets are finally ready through a lens worthy of their legacy.